All right. So here, I just wanted to give you a little recap of your assignment. So a lot of you gave me graphs that look something like this. So and showed that, oh look, there's not much variation on the time dimension. So here we've got quantities on this upper panel. I've got prices down here. So you would see that, oh, there's no variation on prices. And by the way, you see I'm filtering. I'm filtering to just look at product ID 2, right? And like that. So we see there's no variation on prices. And a lot of you got that. But a lot of you didn't quite. So when we have a graph and you see this type of graph, it's actually where you're not showing me the whole variation. And that's because we have selected up here an order date year is selected automatically. But actually what we want to do is come down. Look, I can come down to the day. See? And if I do, so look at the difference between this group of dates and the top group. Okay, do you see that down at the bottom we have, say, under quarter, we have quarter and year. At the top, we only have quarter. So what the top does is it's going to take an average or summation, whatever the measure is, across all quarter for a given quarter across all years. So all Q2s get piled together into one point here. Down at the bottom, we have quarter, only Q2 for 2015. So this is more like a real time series down here. Up on top is more like a summary statistic for each quarter, for each month, for each day, like that. On the bottom, we have more of a time series. So let's go ahead and do that. And look, if we go daily variation, this is the daily order. You can see exactly how this is kind of laid out. Look at this. Let's go ahead and say, maybe not look at the day. How about the week? Okay, week. Either way, you can see there's a lot more variation. And actually, if you look over so if I look over all products, what it looks like is that I've got variation in my price down here, but that's actually not true because at the very most micro level, now here's the important thing. With the microeconomic data, we can actually zoom in to the greatest extent. In this case, to the transaction level. The transaction level is the most microeconomic data, and so you see here we have what's called here we're aggregating because I'm not filtering by any product ID, and therefore it's looking at the average price. It's an average price for all products sold. So actually, why it looks like we have variation is just simply because on this point more highly priced products were sold on May 24th, and more lower priced products were sold on June 14th. So therefore, the variation that we see in price down on this lower panel is actually just being driven by variations in quantities. And there's an interaction between quantities and price because different products are sold at different prices. And so that's why it seems like there's variation. One way to look at it too, so you can filter it like I showed you with product ID. You can drop a filter in here and look at a specific product. Say just pick out whatever one you want to look at. And you can obviously see at the product level, there's no variation. Another way to look at it, if you want to look at all of them in one graph, I'll show you this. Take product ID and drop it on colors. Look at that. Filter, then add. Okay, I'll do this. We'll just use all. How's that? There we go. And the top graph looks super crazy. Okay, because there's just way too much going on. And you can see actually the bottom graph, every product has just a straight line. There's zero variation. So this gives you this is like graphing for every single category, which is probably too much here. We probably don't want to do that. So select from list. Let's go ahead and drop off these, and you could probably just you'd probably just grab a few if you wanted to look at it. And even that's kind of messy on the top. Okay. So anyway, that's all there is to it. I just wanted to show you a couple different. The main thing I saw again, just to recap, was that a lot of people were showing me these kind of graphs, and so you want to be able to break it out a little bit farther by realizing that you have this option down below here. So you can pick off that and explore there. The other thing too is you can use filters, and you can also drop and use these types of colors. And so it's actually, I'll give you kind of a quick little point, case in point. Let's take a look at something else real quick. I'll just go ahead and show you one last thing. So let's go ahead and filter. What if I were to clear the filter? No. Okay, yeah, because we got everything there under the sun. So let's not do that. Let's remove here. What I could do also is I could, if I have a little bit less, I can also just go to category. See, I've got furnishings, housekeeping, maintenance, like this, right? You can also, here, check this out. If I wanted to look at all products within a category, then look, I could go product ID and drop this in. Let's go all members, just like that. And then let's go up to where's product category. So see, I could go up here and say, okay, furnishings. Well, that's still pretty messy. That's not messy. See, you got to just play with these. I like how see, look, that's pretty cool. It shows you when you click, but still, that's pretty messy. I'm just showing you. There's a lot of different ways to play with these visualizations, and that's it. So, hope you enjoyed this project. One thing I will say is that the key point was that you understand is that variation itself is incredibly important to understand. And the way that you want to understand variation is to really go down to the most micro level that you possibly can and look at the variation there. That's really important to understand, is how the variation is driven at the micro level, because clearly this data set is totally unsuitable for studying the price response function. So looking at how quantities change as a function of price, we can't explore that with this data set, because this data set does not have the variation in price that we would really need to understand the relationship between prices and quantities. You see? So anytime we have a lack of variation, then it's going to eliminate the types of questions. Basically, if there's no variation, then we can't explore that variable. In this case, that variable being price. And that's one of the key things we're interested in revenue optimization, is what's the effect of prices on quantities. Cannot explore that with this data set. Hopefully you can see that. And that's the point of actually showing you variation, is to show you a very sort of nuanced part of data sciences, which is very incredibly important. And that's to understand the variation. And in this case, to understand the limitations that the lack of variation creates on the types of questions that you can actually feasibly answer with a given data set. And you need to understand that so you don't waste your time. And because you could actually look at, okay, well, what if I just looked at aggregate data? And you might think that there's variation at the aggregate level, and you might just go about actually coming up with some pretty wacky results. So just don't do that. And anyway, hope you caught the little nuance point of this lesson, and I hope you enjoyed it.